This is the Simulation Football League, presented by APM Music on YouTube. The new season is well upon us here in Season 22 of the SFL, and do we have a treat for you? Two of the younger franchises in terms of experience take to the field in their season opener. It's the Jacksonville Kings and the Denver Nightwings. A very warm welcome to you from a cold, mile-high Richard L. Snowden Memorial Stadium. We are very happy you could join us. I'm Tyler Falk, joined in the broadcast booth by Brett Solberg. Partner, we've got ourselves a great game. Denver and Jacksonville, two teams who have been on a bit of a holding pattern, just trying to get themselves back to 500. These younger faces for both these teams are really going to have to pull their weight and just continue their growth coming forward into this season.
A combined 7 wins between these two teams, and both these squads looking to make some type of improvement, whether it be in terms of the win-loss sheet or in terms of developing their players. Jacksonville coming into this game with 10 freshly slated, newly inducted rookies into the league. Denver brings 2 to their own, and it is a very small roster, but they're hoping that talent will overseed quantity, so quality over quantity for them, but hopefully for Jacksonville, they want to grab something out of this on the road in the first week.
And here we go. Denver will get the opening kickoff, which they let sail through the back of their own end zone, and so Denver will take to the field for their first possession here in Season 22, and here is that Nightwing offense. Gene Struthers is the quarterback with Bailey O'Shaughnessy and first overall pick Ace Ketchum at halfback. Ari Mills and Charles Stackhouse are the fullbacks with Logan Keel, Jeremy Mosley, Dylan Lewis, and Dalton Barker at wideout. Chris Altair and Keith Wheeler are the tight ends. The first pass of the new season is complete near side for Jeremy Mosley for his first catch of the new season, and we're off and running with a 5-yard gain.
And Mosley very easily was Struthers' favorite target last season. 65 receptions for Mosley heading into last season for 747. He wasn't the deep option, but he was his favorite.
Here comes the first call for Ari Mills, the fullback, who goes backward a yard before being taken down by Jean-Patrick Levine.
Yeah, and Jacksonville boasts a huge defense where it looks initially that they could play a 3-4, but right now they are rocking 4 at the line, so it's going to be interesting how Jacksonville plays this defensively.
4 wideouts here. Struthers with time, looking middle. It is caught by Dylan Lewis. First down, Denver to get the ball rolling here early on in the first quarter.
And Denver definitely wants to get an increased role for Dylan Lewis this season. He only had 21 receptions for 372 yards. Wasn't involved in many scoring options. He didn't have any touchdowns last season, but they definitely want to get him more involved this season to help out the rookie like Dalton Barker and Ace Ketchum. I can't say those names apparently, but those guys are definitely going to need some mentorship from guys like Dylan Lewis.
The first game of the season, everyone's going to knock off a little bit of off-season rust, and it's more true for us broadcasters as well. The late handoff up the middle goes nowhere. Bailey O'Shaughnessy stood up at the line. A great tackle by Jean-Patrick Levine, again the middle linebacker, as we introduce you to the rest of that Jacksonville defense. Taquan Hale, P. Fudor, Logan Gardner are the defensive linemen with Tigga Clay, John-Patrick Levine, John Martin, and Dallas Knowles at linebacker. Roy Towers, Havo Ramsey, Bernard Gooden, and Kay Magic are the corners with Alex Bond, Dylan Bamsler, Young Vaught, and Justin Andaluz are the safeties. And the run from O'Shaughnessy is a good one as he keeps those legs churning up, now close to a 3rd and short.
And speaking of mentorship, Ace Ketchum is going to need a lot of that from someone like the BOSS of Denver in Bailey O'Shaughnessy, one-time All-Star, and he's basically the face of this franchise up until this point. Yeah, definitely a good start for Bailey O'Shaughnessy. Sets up for a 3rd and short.
Offset eye behind Struthers. They're on 3rd and short. They go with a handoff up the middle. R.E. Mills will pick it up rather nicely as the offensive line created a nice hole for him to scamper through.
Yeah, and a bright spot of Denver's season last in Season 21 was how decent they did do in terms of the run game, with Bailey O'Shaughnessy getting 1585 in terms of yards, and R.E. Mills not getting a lot of carries, but a lot of red zone touchdowns. He had 5 last season.
Fresh set of downs here on the other side of midfield. Struthers blitz coming as he unloads, and that is caught by Keel right in front of Havel Ramsey, the rookie, a little bit outsmarted by Keel in his 11th season.
Yeah, and Keel is going to be that consummate veteran that Denver will rely on as well. I talk about how Jeremy Mosley was the favorite target. Logan Keel is the deep option. If you're looking for a 20-plus yard catch, you're going to find it from Logan Keel. Almost had a 1,000-yard season last campaign and 5 touchdowns as well. He is a dangerous option for Struthers to throw at.
Now from Jacksonville's 32-yard line come the Night Wings. And it's been a very good drive, which has lasted longer already than 3 minutes. Struthers caught Mosley behind Bernard Gooden, and Denver strike first.
And that is what Denver needed to do, is to strike first and strike early. You've got a lot of doubts coming into the season for the Night Wings, and you want to shut those people up as quickly as possible. And they find an absolute dot of a throw from Gene Struthers to the guy that they wanted to find in Jeremy Mosley. Denver strikes first and early on the board.
A superb start to the season for the Night Wings. A very quick 5-play drive. Extra point is up and good from Neil Rackers. 8-play, 79-yard drive, all totaling a 3-minute 11-second total time of possession. Solid start for Denver.
Just what the doctor ordered here, Richard L. Snowden, and now Denver's defense has to respond in kind so they can keep these fans happy through this first quarter.
We are back underway. Now we'll see how Jacksonville respond. And this is a short kickoff. Here comes the return from Joe Beasley all the way up to the 36. That'll be a fantastic place to start their opening drive. And here are the Kings on offense. O.J. Bruin is the quarterback with Shepard Varkarian and Sean Sanders at halfback. Connor Weston, Kingston Ellington, Joe Beasley, Jonathan Haynes, and King Alexander are the wideouts, with Jim Copeland Jr. and Dot Williams at tight end. Carly Forge, Brennan Ryan, and Marcella Martin are leading the way in the trenches on the line. Quick throw right side, and it's a quick 16-yard pickup for Connor Weston.
Yeah, and this is what Jacksonville wants to do here. They want to get something going in their offense, and right now, O.J. Bruin is going to be relied on heavily in that offense because he is a stud at quarterback, and you find someone of that veteran presence like Connor Weston, 8 seasons in the league, you got to trust on guys like him to get you started on offense.
So back to the line comes Jacksonville. A very nice start to the drive. Can it continue? First carry of the ball game is going to go maybe for a yard. And he's taken down by Forge. And let's meet the rest of that Nightwing defense. Hugo Reynosa, Gerald Cumbus, Joseph Sabolka, and Brenda Puff are the linemen, with Stefan Forge, who just made the last tackle, and Stuart Gotts alongside Luis Quintana at linebacker. Xavier Rowe III, Andre Tucker, Nick Kindler, and Luke Schreiner are the corners, with Jeff Melanishin and Lucas Devore at safety. 3 wide here on second down. Bruin has plenty of time. He throws a pick. Tried to fit it over the defense and just could not get enough touch on the football, and it's going back the other way.
And this is one of the issues that Jacksonville had last season with O.J. Bruin. As much as he is a stud at quarterback, he's got interception problems. 23 picks last season, and now he's starting the first drive of Jacksonville's season with an interception.
Jeff Melanishin coming over from Louisiana in the offseason. First day on the job here in Denver, picks up an interception. He only had one last season, so it's already a great start to his campaign as Denver come back out on the offense, trying to add on to their advantage here. They will start the drive with a pass. Quick hitter. There is Keel picking up a 9-yard catch before being brought down by the rookie out of Albuquerque, Dylan Bamseler.
And we might see a lot of this, at least in this first half, where Struthers is going to trust on his main guys, Mosley and Keel, so that they can get the other receivers a little bit more comfortable and a little bit stress-free throughout the rest of the game. But right now, it's been working.
They will run again up the middle. And it's Ari Mills. We've seen plenty of him already early tonight, especially in these short yardage situations, and he picks up another first for Denver.
And I think Stephon Forge's plan for this season was definitely to get Ari Mills more involved in the run game, and we see it already in this game. He's got 2 big carries for them now. He only had 35 last season. We should expect more carries from Ari moving forward.
We've seen a couple of carries already from O'Shaughnessy. Have yet to see Ace Ketchum involved, and they'll go back to O'Shaughnessy up for a couple of yards. It'll be 4 in total before he's taken down.
And right now, Jacksonville's defense needs to clamp down a little bit here. You don't want to have Denver starting to roll the momentum to their favor early on at home, because if you give that home team the momentum, it's going to be hard to get that back.
2nd and 6 from just inside the 40-yard line of Jacksonville. Offset eye behind Struthers, and they're content with just trying to work as much clock as possible. Ari Mills on the give, and it just seems like the fullbacks in the last 2 games we called Arizona and Canton just a few minutes ago, partner, but Arizona loved to use the fullback, and it just wasn't working for them. For Denver, it's working mightily.
Yeah, and it's big. A big key through this first quarter is how effective Mills has been in freeing up that offense.
Blitz coming. Struthers has to get it away and does. Pretty pass to Keith Wheeler in his sophomore season. Picks up 9.
Yeah, and that's what they need to do now, is start to get those younger guys involved. That's the first touch for Keith Wheeler, his 3rd season in the league. He's also got Chris Altair on the other tight end side as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they start throwing other directions here.
Wheeler in just his 2nd season. Handoff. O'Shaughnessy through the middle. Nothing that John Patrick Avine could do about it. Another first down, courtesy of Bailey O'Shaughnessy for Denver.
Yeah, and those veterans on the defensive part of the field need to step up a little bit more. Guys like John Martin and Levine and Tigga Clay, those guys, they need to start stepping up, especially against this run game.
3 wide here for Denver. Just outside the red zone. They go on the ground. Here is the first overall pick. Ace Ketchum in his first run of his SFL career goes for 5.
And he'll take that. 5 yards is going to be, tough to achieve, even if you're just, a couch potato armchair GM. It'll be tough to get 5 yards, and Ace does it on his first run. That's pretty damn impressive.
Going to the red zone once more, this time from the 17-yard line, and they will send Keith Wheeler in motion from right to left across the line with an offset eye behind Struthers again. 8 men in the box for Jacksonville trying to counter that strong side. Ari Mills with a shoulder and a shiver. And in this chilly atmosphere here in Richard L. Snowden, that has to hurt nearly twice as much.
Yeah, just when you think we're done being in a cold environment, we go somewhere like Denver, Colorado, which they're rocking a solid 5 degrees right now. That must be nice for us.
It felt like -8 over in Canton, and here it feels just a little bit more, and the air is so much thinner. Struthers airing it out and finding Dylan Lewis for another first down. It'll be 1st and goal Denver.
Yeah, and right now Jacksonville's plan to keep everything in front of them is kind of not working at the moment, because it's leaving these receivers open on basically an out and in from Keel or from Lewis, sorry, and it just continues to give open looks for Struthers. And if he starts to get hot, you got to be careful, or else we might get a 250, 300-yard performance out of that man.
We have yet to see a dropped pass from the Denver quarterback Struthers yet tonight. Handoff, Mills, left side, fighting his way forward, and that's another Denver touchdown. Ari Mills gets Denver back on the board, and it's a 2-score lead.
And you have to think this is a dream start for this Denver franchise that has so many doubts on their team, with with quality over quantity, and in terms of making sure that they have all their guys, but these guys are devoted, and you see on these first 2 drives how they got those in. Jeremy Mosley and R.E. Mills, the veterans, get you the touchdowns to start the first quarter.
And the extra point from Rackers is up and good, and so it's 14-0 with 1:32 left to go in the first quarter. If you're new to the Simulation Football League, welcome. The SFL is football for everyone. Get off the sideline and start your player today by joining our Discord server at simulationfl.net. Click the Join the Community button and begin your career, or just to meet the stars of the SFL on and off the field. It is never too late to get involved. And who really needs to get involved right now is this Jacksonville offense, already down by 2 scores, partner.
Yeah, and they need to get some points in a hurry, or else Denver's going to run away with this one, and we might see ourselves a Canton, Arizona game.
As much as we'd like to see another defensive stout performance, we'd like to see maybe a little bit more of a back and forth game. We'll see if Jacksonville can provide the goods here tonight on the road from their own 31-yard line. It'll be a run up the gut. Nice little forearm punch from Shepard Vakarian as he picks up 3.
And definitely something that Frank Gooden definitely wants to change this season is to get Vakarian and Sanders more involved. They combined for 300 carries last season, but they struggled both on the ground. Both these guys struggled to get 654 and 713 respectively on the ground.
Pulling double duty tonight, head coach of the Jacksonville franchise, and also doing stats today as he calls a run. It's a good one. Sean Sanders picks up the first down on the stretch play.
Yeah, joint shortest running back in the league next to Sudan Akai at 5'7", but he's also one of those deceptively fast talents that you got to keep on the squad. And there you see the speed helping out Sanders on a stretch run to get that first down.
High formation, 1st and 10 here for the Kings. Roll out near side, across his body, throw into triple coverage, and nearly picked off by Luis Quintana.
And you have to give O.J. Bruin some credit. He does not mind throwing into triple coverage as long as he sees a man at least a little bit open. That's confidence coming from your quarterback, but you have to be careful in a situation like this where you're down 2 scores.
2nd and 10 now. They will send Jim Copeland Jr. in motion. Final half minute of the first quarter here from Richard L. Snowden. Bruin gonna look to throw right side, incomplete, looking for Connor West, and might have been a little ticky-tacky from Lucas DeVore on the wing, and they will call pass interference, and so Jacksonville will get a free first down.
Very interesting play done by DeVore as well, because it was an open pass, and there you see it, impeding on the route that Weston was trying to run and try to get the catch. And that's the big thing these referees look at, is impeding the route. Are you doing it? And in this case, DeVore definitely did.
Just had the wrong angle. He was over-reading the play, as some would say. You want him to be in that area in the passing lane. Just going to have to work on that angle next time around. Now Jacksonville from the Denver 38-yard line. Bruin looking near side, and that is caught for a 6-yard pickup for Beasley.
Yeah, very nice work to stay patient in the pocket, not worry about that collapse occurring, because it was collapsing a little bit from the sides, just waiting for a man to get open, finds his man, gets 6 yards.
That'll bring up 2nd and 4 here for the Jacksonville Kings. Denver's 31-yard line, middle linebacker showing blitz. They'll try and run with Vakarian, and Vakarian rumbles through his offensive line, and he'll pick up a first.
Yeah, very good to end the quarter with a first down to carry that momentum into the second.
14-0, Denver out on top early, but Jacksonville are driving. This is week 1 here in season 22 of the SFL. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Richard L. Snowden Stadium here in Denver, Colorado. I'm Tyler Falk alongside my partner Brett Solberg. A special thanks to Adam Nold and Frank Gooden to the Stats Truck, and always Back at SFL headquarters, Cameron Irvine working his magic in production. As Bruin, first snap out of the quarter break.
Ooh.
One-handed snag. Connor Weston lays out and grabs it. What a fantastic catch.
Simply put, that's what 8 seasons gets you, is the ability to get the outstretched arm to where nobody else can reach it. And he had plenty of coverage. There was Lucas Devora again, this time on coverage against what looked to be Donnie Jones, the outside linebacker, on support. So great work from Weston to get that catch.
And we will call that the Nice Hands catch, brought to you by Retroid. Put a Retroid handheld in your hands and play the only video game with your player in it, SFL 4K23, as Brenda Puff comes up with a stop for only a 2-yard gain on the ground.
Yeah, now Jacksonville inside the red zone, and they're really starting to threaten here. If I'm Jacksonville, if I'm Frank Gooden, I'm looking for your guys again. I'm looking at someone like Connor Weston down the sidelines.
Quick drop, pressure coming from the outside, and Bruin
Oh!
to the corner. He's got Connor Weston. Touchdown, Jacksonville, and they come back finally with a touchdown of their own. There will be no shutout here in Denver.
Hail to Solberg, for he is the preacher of great plays, and it's exactly what the doctor ordered for Jacksonville this time, because they were starting to get routed in the first quarter, but they take this drive and they try to find what's right. They trust in their veterans as well to get the score going, and they finish with the man that had the most touchdowns last season in terms of wide receivers in Connor Weston. He's got his first.
On comes Jordan Bradshaw to kick home the extra point, in which he does. And so, Jacksonville on the board for the first time in season 22. It is 14-7. Denver out still with a 1-score advantage. Liking the game so far? Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The SFL produces over 400 events a year. There is no one else that gives you more football. Don't miss a minute of SFL or SFLM action and help the channel grow through your support. A nice little shimmy shake there from Dylan Lewis gets him a little extra yards up to the 34-yard line.
And here's what Denver has to do after getting their own gut punch from Jacksonville. They just need to stay the path. Right now, everything's been working. Look at the average yards per play so far in this, just from that first quarter alone. They need to continue to emulate that in the second quarter to keep that momentum on their side. And they have the necessary talent to do that.
So what can Denver do? On the first 2 drives for them, they were able to put on a touchdown. Can they make it 3 for 3 here on this drive? They will start in an eye with 2 wide receivers to the left-hand side. Now one goes in motion. 4-3 look out of Jacksonville. Snap comes away, so Shaughnessy gets the call, and he is brought down by Roy Towers and others. Only a pickup of 2 for O'Shaughnessy.
You know, Shaughnessy is going to be the momentum setter for a lot of starting drives for Denver, especially throughout this season as it comes along. You can't solely trust on Gene Struthers being perfect 7-7 in the first quarter, so you want to get Bailey O'Shaughnessy involved, and it's not a bad start with 2 yards.
Another 2 wide receiver set. This time they go with Mills, who's brought down by John Martin, the league leader in TFLs from a season ago. The next closest to his mark of 32 was at 26. Look for him to be involved early and often behind the line of scrimmage this season as well.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a foregone conclusion. I think John Martin's going to be the center of that Jacksonville defense, if not this week, for the rest of the season.
Struthers to throw, and it's nearly taken away by Alex Bond. And that will force a 4th down and a punt out of Denver.
Impressive turnaround from the Jacksonville defense to stay stout on this drive when Denver wanted to get that 2-score lead back. Quick 3 and out results in Denver punting the football away, and Jacksonville with an opportunity to bring this back even.
So out comes Toby Gowen to punt this one away here for Denver. Punt is away, back deep to return near the 24-yard line. It's a good, decent little return from Joe Beasley up to the 27, and that is where Jacksonville will take over for their next possession.
And I will say right now, before that incompletion that Gene Struthers threw earlier, both quarterbacks were perfect at 1 point. Struthers 7 of 7, like I said before. OJ Bruin doing pretty well himself, 4 of 4, but you have to knock that interception as well.
So it's an offset eye to begin the drive here for the Kings. Delayed handoff. Goes near side, Vicarian running through defenders and tallying up 7 yards.
Yeah, and now the run game's kind of flipped a little bit here in the second quarter. Denver felt like they were getting their way in the run game, and now Jacksonville has turned things around and got their run game started with Vicarian bowling over Stuart Gott, saying, "Welcome to Denver, my friend," and gets 7 yards for the Kings.
Now they bring out a heavy set. 3 tight ends out on the field here for Jacksonville as they hand off to Sanders, and he goes nowhere, maybe a yard, as Xavier Rowe and a defensive lineman come up with a stop, and it's 3rd and 1 now.
Yeah, very tough for Sanders to get around on that stretch run. He didn't know whether to go inside or cut outside, and it was just not a good decision made from Sanders this time.
2 tight ends now on 3rd and 1 from the 36. Handoff Vicarian. He will get the first down, and he pays for it as Quintana brings him down.
Yeah, and Quintana is going to be the center point of that defense as well as Denver. Surprisingly enough, Stephon Forge is going to challenge this. This feels like a clear first down. I'm not entirely sure, but let's take a retroactive look, shall we, Tyler?
Absolutely. Our first retroactive look this season for us, partner. Presented by Retroid. Get your SFL console at goretroid.com. Here's the play.
Yeah, main thing we're looking at is where the football landed when Vicarian was down. That doesn't show a great angle, but this one will. Look at where the football lands. Got to remember that first down marker is just to help for us broadcasters as well as the fans at home. It looks pretty close.
It's a tight call here. It is the call. It is overturned. There was enough evidence for it to be pushed back a little bit, and so it'll be 4th and the thickness of an 8x11 copy paper for a first down.
Yeah, and surprisingly enough, that 8x11 has a picture of me on it as well as a signature. So if you can go and grab it, that'll cost you $50.
Well, how about that? And Jacksonville are going to line up to punt this one away. And there will be no trickeration on 4th in microscopic inches. And so here comes the return from Dylan Lewis. And I'm not a coach, partner, but that almost looked like you should probably go for it. Maybe show a little bit of spunk. But at the same time, trust your defense.
I think the best situation on a 4th and inches is, maybe a little bit of brotherly shove. But they decide to punt it instead in hopes that the Jacksonville defense can give them another stop like they did the last time.
So Struthers will trot back out into the field here to begin another drive. And the last drive was the first one for them that ended in a punt today. So we'll see what they can do here on their next drive as O'Shaughnessy running through defenders, and the 2 defenders draped all over him. Could not stop him. It's a first down, and Tigga Clay is the man down for Jacksonville, and that is not what you want to see on opening day.
And it's going to be a major loss for that Jacksonville defense. Tigga Clay did great progression throughout last season, getting himself 98 tackles and 14 tackles for loss, which was 3rd on the team. So that's going to be a big loss. Now it's next guy up. I have to feel Dallas Knowles, the rookie, is going to get more involved here.
Might they move Knowles over from middle linebacker to the outside just to give him a little bit more? It looks like Danny Atkins will come in relief for Clay at the moment, though. Handoff middle. O'Shaughnessy gets turned around by Ari Mills in the backfield, and that allows Jacksonville to get there and stop him at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and again, you look at who's going to be that X factor on the defense. John Martin definitely involved in that tackle as well. Forces a no gain on for 2nd down.
So after the no gain on 1st, what can they come up with on 2nd? 2 wideouts, 2 tight ends. Out in the formation, they try to go Ari Mills up the middle. Great blocking, which allowed Mills to gain 5 yards and no further. It'll bring up 3rd and medium.
Would it be fair to call Ari Mills General Mills, or would we get a cease and desist from the cereal company?
Well, we'll call him General Mills for now, and if they come knocking on our door, we'll say we didn't know.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, 3rd and 5. General Mills is down there at fullback as the blitz is coming from Jacksonville. He picks up a block as Struthers unloads and finds Dylan Lewis for a first down.
Yeah, and Dylan Lewis, again, like I said, trying to get him more involved, and a lot of these in and out routes have been working to get Lewis open. Now his second reception getting involved, and now you're starting to see a little bit more spread of the wealth action. Sorry, this is his 3rd reception of the game now, and now you have 3 different receivers with 2 or more receptions now. Just got to get Dalton Barker and Chris Altair involved.
Now from the other side of midfield, Denver have had great success early today with being inside of Jacksonville territory. O'Shaughnessy gets the call. 5 yards is the gain. Levine with the tackle.
And again, they want to try to spread that wealth in the run game as well. That's O'Shaughnessy's 5th carry. Mills has had 7 at this point, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ketchum gets a few more moving forward as well, but it's been great work trying to spread the handoffs.
Jackson with 8 in the box, can't stop Ari Mills before he picks up 6 yards and the first.
Yeah, got to give credit to the offensive line for Denver to open up. It looked to be 2 clear-cut holes for Mills to run through. He picks the left side and got that first down.
Back to the line comes Denver. We have seen Struthers nearly exclusively work under center all throughout today's game. Past the midway point in the second quarter. 8 men in the box again here for Jacksonville as Mills tries to break it out to the right-hand side, and Alex Bond is there to bring him down for a loss of 1.
Yeah, we talked about how Tika Clay was number 3 and John Martin being number 2. Well, or number 1. Who was number 2 in tackles for loss? Alex Bond. He was a great person on that strong safety side on coverage and run tackles.
Denver come out with an offset eye, and they will go to the air this time. Struthers underneath, caught, turning upfield and looking for more. There is Keith Wheeler for a good gain, and it's 3rd and 3 now after the 8-yard gain.
And plays like that really help out offenses turn a 3rd and long situation into a 3rd and short, so it can open up that playbook and they don't have to stress too much on trying to get that first down.
3rd and short, only 1 wide receiver out in the formation. Mills trying to stretch it, and down he goes. Young Vaught streaking in from his free safety spot to bring down Mills, and that will save a first down, potentially a touchdown, and it will force Neil Rackers on for a long 41 field goal.
Yeah, and we talk about long 41-yard field goal. You got to remember Denver doesn't have a contracted kicker, so Rackers comes in.
It goes left, hooking right, and with the wind, it is up and good. A 10-play, 46-yard drive culminating in a field goal, and it's back out to a 10-point advantage for Denver.
That's big points from Denver as well. It keeps that 2-possession lead for them now, and it gives them a little bit of a sigh of relief. Now they got 17 on the board, and now they're begging Jacksonville to respond in some kind.
We are underway once again. Here comes the return now from Jacksonville, trying to make something happen is Kingston Ellington, as he'll get all the way up to the 29-yard line and no further. That is where Jacksonville will start their next possession. It's been a bit of a hit or miss for the Kings. It's been a couple of punts, a touchdown, really nothing more to show for it. They're back to the line and back to work here. 3 wideouts to begin the drive, and they will try and look for one. Bruin under pressure, and he finds Connor Weston for a first down, a pickup of about 12 yards. And this is the big thing now for O.J. Bruin, partner, is he doesn't have to worry about being in a 2-quarterback system this season. He can just focus on gaining accuracy and gaining camaraderie and repetition with all of his targets out there on the field.
Yeah, and right now he's been finding his favorite target in Connor Weston pretty successfully. 4 of the 5 completions he's had so far have been going to Connor Weston.
And speaking of Weston, he goes the left-hand side of the formation in motion. 1st and 10 now from the 41. Handoff, Bakarian, left side, and Stefan Forge. He might be carrying a Forge and hammer right now because he has just been laying people out left, right, and center.
Yeah, showing the young guys in Quintana and Gotts on how it's done outside of the red zone, because Gotts and Quintana are both red zone tackle sensations. But when you're further down the field, you got to do a little bit better, and Forge did it perfect.
Rush from the outside, and what speed! Wow, Jeff Melanishin was on the left-hand side of the defense, set on a blitz, comes from behind to bring down the halfback, and that will bring us to a 2-minute warning here in the first half of action. 17-7. Denver out in front, Jacksonville driving. Will they not chip into that lead even further? This is the SFL on YouTube. 2 to play here in quarter number 2 of the first game of the season for these two clubs here in season 22. Bruin, Weston caught, first down and more inside the 40.
Yeah, and that's just Weston getting ahead of his man, and Bruin had no other choice than to throw it to him. It's just an intriguing option for Bruin to look at every time, especially when Weston is a guy that has a huge figure at 6'4" and 215 pounds. He's that slim tall, that skinny tall, skinny fit kind of guy, and right now it's been paying dividends on the pass offense. Jacksonville sets up for 2nd and 5. As Bakarian got 5 yards in the last play. Bruin again, another handoff, this time to Sanders, and it will use a little bit of yardage as Jacksonville calls their first time out. Good tackle by Luis Quintana, like I was saying earlier, about how he can be a TFL threat out there, and he proves effective on that play.
The freezing temperatures have caught up to me now, partner, here in the booth. I was frozen out for just a little bit as Jacksonville come to the line here on 3rd down with 4 wide receivers. And Bruin will look to throw left side, looking for a corner, but in the way of the pass was Luke Schreiner in his 2nd season, and the timely deflection ends the drive.
Yeah, and huge credit to Bruin trying to find your streaking sideline runner in Kingston Ellington, but just underthrew it a little bit. If he had a little bit more air on his throw, it might have gone his way. But again, good deflection from Schreiner. Now we're seeing a kick from 52.
And this will be into the wind. Bradshaw launches his best effort, and it is going to snow. It will not sneak through the uprights, just barely short, in that wind wreaking havoc on the long field goal.
We definitely have to look at the replay because it looked like it had the leg. Bradshaw, one of the highest paid kickers in the league, and we see it probably just a couple inches short as well, and that is heartbreaking for Jacksonville, who wanted to get something from this 2-minute warning, and they end up with a nothing burger.
Just unfortunate. It was already going to be tough from 52. Factor in the wind and the elevation, and it just did not go for Bradshaw. His first miss in a season as well. Went 16-16 last season. Starts the season 0-1. Mills with the lumber. And Mills is still going. Young Vaught trying to bring him down from behind. Excuse me, that's Alex Bond. He will, but Mills with a quality scamper.
As the Night Wings marching in, led by your general and General Mills, just an outlandish flattening of the defender and just carrying it forward, and just like that, instantly flip the field, get Denver in possible scoring position.
48 yards for a fullback. Denver continue on. Pass right side. Struthers and Keel connect. Keel with the awareness just to plant his feet, stop, and bend over for the catch.
And let's be completely honest, I thought that was going to be an incompletion. And then Logan Keel just casually bends down and was like, oh, I got the ball. Let me get that first down for you, Denver.
2 plays, and they're already inside the 30-yard line of Jacksonville. Struthers with a 5-man rush coming at him. He looks right side, double coverage. Oh, so close for Dalton Barker. That would have been a highlight reel catch for sure.
This Nightwings offense is smelling blood out in the sea known as Richard L. Snowden right now and wanted to go for the jugular. Huge kudos to Gene Struthers on a gutsy play like that. Just didn't get enough air again on his receiver.
3 wide now for Struthers. 4-man rush with time. Looking middle. There is Dylan Lewis just outside the 10-yard line. First down. And they call their final timeout with 11 yards to go to pay dirt.
Yeah, and that's efficient work from the Denver Nightwings with less than a minute to go in the second quarter to use their timeouts, utilize their time, and now look how close they are to the end zone.
DBs are overloading the right-hand side of the offense. And they will come with a blitz from that direction. Struthers has to get rid of it. O'Shaughnessy down the sideline wisely gets out of bounds near the 5-yard line.
Yeah, and that was just him both getting out of bounds and not wanting to get any damage from a tackle from Roy Towers. He's got that deceptive power behind those shoulders. So great job to stop the clock again. They've maybe used 25 seconds on the clock to get to the 5-yard line.
Now it's 3 wide here for Denver. Wheeler, the man in motion. I've seen very little of Chris Altpaire with Wheeler being the starting tight end tonight. As Struthers looking right side, picked up Alex Bond, and he comes out of the end zone. It'll be stopped at the 1-yard line. A great interception, great place to be. But now, instead of taking a knee and being at the 20, he might have just penalized his team back at the 1.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, and I think Bond was hoping to get a block from Havel Ramsey, his supporting corner, but Ramsey did not turn around in enough time, so he gets tackled at the 1, and now OJ needs to be smart with 28 seconds left to not force a safety out of this.
Not force a pass, don't do anything foolish. 28 seconds to go. Here in the half, and they will go through the air. Bruin, pressure, and he will take a sack. It's a safety for Denver.
And that is worst case scenario from Jacksonville. I understand why you would pass in a scenario like this, just because you're not sure if Vicarian or Sanders can push you forward for at least a little bit. But as too much time in the pocket for OJ, gets stuffed by Joseph Sabolka, put 2 points on the board for the Nightwings.
Stewart, Gotts, and Sabolka combine on the safeties. Gotts coming over from Sioux Falls, Sabolka coming over from Queen City, and here comes Denver on a solid return to midfield. And we quickly go to SFL headquarters for the first time today as we have an update from Tulsa. Cam.
Gabriel Manning has taken over this night for Tulsa, 2 receiving touchdowns before this 70-yard punt return for a score. Manning worth his salt, 133 receiving yards, 38-17 Tulsa in the third. Back to you.
Thank you, Cam. It's why you pay him the big bucks. As Struther wisely takes off and slides down. Clock is still running because they have no timeouts. 10 seconds and ticking. Everyone has to get back. And Struthers will wisely spike it with 5 seconds to go. And you wonder whether or not they're going to try for a Hail Mary just to pour it on here to end the half.
And again, I talked about it earlier, this Denver offense smelling blood out in the sea right now, even though the team represents a bird. They're acting like sharks out there at the moment. And look at this trip set. I would be focusing on that lone receiver on the bottom of your screen there.
Logan Keel one-on-one. Instead, it's a run up the middle from O'Shaughnessy, and O'Shaughnessy will run out the end of the half all the way to near the 37-yard line and no further. Denver are going to go into the half up by 12 points, 2 of them courtesy of a Stewart got Sabolka safety at the 1-yard line. And Denver looking mightily strong here to begin the season.
Man, and what a start it's been for Denver as well. You had a lot of questions coming into Denver's season of how this team was going to prep themselves, especially for week 1 against a Jacksonville team that is young and that is hungry. Well, they come in and immediately 2 drives, 2 touchdowns, and they trust in their veterans, and that's been working for them so far. R.E. Mills has been a wonder for them, 11 carries for 43 yards in the touchdown. And then you look at the spread the wealth offense of the passing game from Gene Struthers, 12 of 15 on his completions, and Dylan Lewis is leading the team with 4 receptions at the moment. But their touchdown came from their big man in Jeremy Mosley. They did great work on that. Jacksonville has had some blinks of successful work, especially going to Connor Weston, 5 receptions for 86 yards. I'd be looking at him a little bit more to help out this Jacksonville offense. But right now, Denver has this game on lock currently after that safety. Momentum fully on their side.
As we welcome you back to Richard L. Snowden Stadium, I'm Tyler Falk alongside Brett Solberg, and a special thanks to our statisticians Adam Nold and Frank Gooden and the StatStruck. And a special thanks as well to all of you joining us here this evening from wherever you might be in this great wide world of ours. It is half number 2 about set to get underway, and Denver will kick it off to Jacksonville as we are back and kicking again in half number 2, quarter number 3. And here comes the return from Jacksonville as Joe Beasley brings it all the way up to his own 32-yard line. That is where Jacksonville will start the second half.
And in this drive, you have to think score. At this point, you've had a decent first half in terms of your offense, but things have just not gone your way. The 1 interception and the interception that you grabbed from Denver's side did not end well. So you have to think about positives in this first drive of the half.
Bruin will be under center. Last drive ended with him taking a seat in his own end zone. Bruin looking near side. That is hauled in by Jim Copeland Jr. for a short gain of 1, and we're reminded of how different this season is compared to last season. Denver moving from the West all the way over to the Central Division along with Arizona. It's going to be a very interesting Central Division, culminating with Indy, Zona, who took an L, Minnesota, who's they were a bye this week, as Vicarian gains nothing as he's stood up by Gerald Cumbus. Tulsa, who's running away with it with Carolina right now. The Central is definitely not going to be as easy as it ever is.
Yeah, and we talk about how week 1 can always be wild, but it's also a good indicator of how team seasons are going to start as well.
Bruin middle, finding his most reliable and most targeted target, Connor Weston. First down, Jacksonville.
And you might as well keep going to Weston if he stays that open for Bruin, and just relying on that lefty brilliance and that crossing patterns from the 2 receivers, Kingston Ellington going right and Weston going left. One of those guys was going to get open, and the safety had to choose, and Connor Weston was left open.
I formation with 2 wideouts here for Bruin. On a new set of downs, handoff to Carey with plenty of blockers in front of him and time to run, but it quickly evaporates as Sabolka gets around to tackling him after Vicarian's 6-yard run.
Man, Vicarian has easily been the more successful running back between the 2 so far in this game. I can understand why they want to kind of split things between the 2, but right now I would try to carry the hot hand of Vicarian as much as possible.
Heavy set here for Jacksonville, and they can only gain maybe a couple from Sanders as Gerald Cumbus comes up with another tackle, his 3rd.
We got General Mills on one side and Colonel Sanders on the other. We're just talking copyrights here, ladies and gentlemen.
Another heavy-looking set, this time with a wide receiver tucked in tight. Bruin middle, wide open, is the lone receiver, Weston, and just keep going to him. And Jacksonville seemed to be a lot more composed to begin the half.
Yeah, and that's probably a good thing because you want that first drive to be successful. Frank Gooden did a great job in calming this team down in the locker room at halftime, and now they're starting to fire on all blazes because of Connor Weston and O.J. Bruin.
Back-to-back third down conversions. They find Jim Copeland Jr. on the little crossing route for a 3-yard pickup. Before this drive, partner, they had only one third down conversion. Now they have 2, and the drive is looking very much more promising. But 5 wide receivers here for O.J. Bruin, for sure passing formation. Four-man rush. Bruin gets rid of it, finds Connor Weston. Who else? First down, Jacksonville. Another reception for Connor Weston. He just seems to be everywhere on the field tonight.
Yeah, it's not like Jacksonville is running the same play over and over again to get Weston open. These have all been different route trees for Weston to run, and he still finds his way to get open. This has been a great starting game of the season for Weston. If you're looking at it from a stat perspective, it's just got to turn into results now.
And he was double covered, no less, as well. 1st and 10. Bruin back to pass again, rolling, spinning, with plenty of space in front of him. He takes off, gets punished by Quintana after a 5-yard gain. Might want to slide next time, my friend.
Yeah, you really have to be careful, because if Quintana hits you in the right way, that ball's going to be flying loose 5 yards away from you, and then it's going to be a race to see who would get the football.
It's been a solid drive for Jacksonville. This will be the 10th play of the drive, and we're closing in on the 4-minute mark of the drive as Vicarian goes nowhere. Up comes Jeff Melanishin with a stop, and it's another third down upcoming for the Kings.
Yeah, and the one thing that I had a big question mark for Denver was who's going to be that big run support aside from Luis Quintana, and they've answered that question right away in the form of Jeff Melanishin. He has been deadly on those runs.
Third down, 5 yards to go. Bruin under center with 3 wide. Deep drop from OJ. Has time. Steps up and fires, and he cannot connect with Kingston Ellington. Ball falls to the turf as Nick Kindler was in the area, and Jacksonville will have to settle for a field goal.
And again, Bruin going to the right guy, finding the open man in Ellington, but he just gets in and out of his hands because of a nice tackle made by Kindler to jar the ball loose, and now Jordan Bradshaw has a 35-yard attempt here.
This from near the right hash for Bradshaw. Snap, spot, kick is up, and it is good. He gets one to go after stoinking one earlier in the ball game. And that's a solid drive for Jacksonville. 12 plays all told as Jacksonville chip into the lead. It's now 19-10 Denver. Have you ever wanted to be a play-by-play or analyst broadcaster? We are looking for passionate SFL participants or viewers like you to join the team for this Major League season. Please visit simulationfl.net/broadcasting for more details on how you can get involved and get your voice on the call. Here comes Dalton Barliker on the return. He brings it all the way up to the 25-yard line, a solid +5 or net 5-yard gain on the return. That is where Denver will take over for their first possession of the half. And after a long drive from Jacksonville, you might want one long drive of your own part.
Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario for Denver. They still have the 2-possession lead after the field goal made by Jordan Bradshaw. And the goal for Denver, like you said, chew up the clock, make it as insurmountable as possible.
Ari Mills, the fullback, playing as the lone back behind Struthers here to begin the drive. 2 wideouts off to the left-hand side. They will run with Mills. Tries to push forward Tam Hopkins, and he eventually stumbles through and fights off Alex Bond for 3 yards.
Yeah, and maybe an ill-advised decision to trust on that line because that middle was gapped wide open for Mills to go through, but he decides to cut outside a little bit, trust in his linemen, and only got 3 yards.
Go with another run. This time, Charles Stackhouse, the backup fullback, gets the call as Mills takes a well-deserved break. on the sideline, and that's just showing just the wear and tear on these backs now starting to affect them a lot more this season.
Yeah, a lot more, and maybe it's that combination of that cold weather as well, that they need those reps on the sideline to kind of get that fresh air again.
Mills and Stackhouse now both out in the formation, and there goes Mills for a first down as he runs behind Stackhouse.
Yeah, and now Denver's trying to rely on that run game, and Ari Mills has been the main proponent of those runs so far for Denver, trusting his power to move forward.
3 straight runs to begin the drive as maybe Denver heard my voice a little bit, trying to extend the drive. Instead, it's going to be a dump off near side for Mills, who picks up 2 yards. Blitz was coming hard from Struthers' blind side, and he wisely just checks it down.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do in a scenario like that. If you have the pressure mounting upon you on the blind side, just get rid of the football, go to your check down.
Under 4 to go here in the third quarter. 9 points separates these two clubs. They go back to the ground. Stackhouse all the way up to midfield. No one touched him until he got to midfield.
Yeah, that second level of defense was non-existent for Jacksonville as they brought a heavy set, but were primarily well blocked by the Denver receiving core, and it helped Stackhouse get that first down.
Haley O'Shaughnessy has been near absent here on the drive. He's back in the formation now here on 1st and 10. Instead, they go to R.E. Mills, who runs through a defender and continues his march down the field inside Jacksonville's 40-yard line.
Man, why would you stop as Young Vaught goes down? That's the second player down for Jacksonville, and those injuries is going to mount, especially after one. But why stop on the run game when it's been clearly working for Denver?
We lost Tigga Clay earlier in the game, and now Young Vaught goes down. It's 2 of the more long-standing members of this franchise, both Vaught and Clay, 4 seasons veterans. And that's just a tough price to pay when you got behind you is just next man up, and a lot of these next man up, they're having to go to the cradle, to the rookies to try and fill these gaps. And handoff here on the next play goes for 3 yards, and it just means Andaluz and Knowles have a lot more part to play in this game than one would think.
Yeah, they just have to put their big boy pants on and try to fill the hole that Clay and Vaught have left so far in this game, and really step up if they want to, continue getting extra reps.
I formation behind Struthers, and they go to the ground. It's Ace Ketchum, only his second touch of the game, and he goes nowhere, and he's finding it maybe a little bit harder to run here in the majors rather than the minors.
Yeah, there is that distinct difference between defenses in the minors and here in the majors. There is, those big name talents that are going to stop you, and there's a prime example.
That'll bring up 3rd and 7 here for the Night Wings as Struthers goes back to pass. Loading and firing and finding Jeremy Mosley near the 10-yard line. Andaluz couldn't bring him down in time, and Denver are just outside 1st and goal range.
Yeah, and a great throw from Struthers as he stayed patient, looked for his man to get open, and like you said, seeing Mosley break open past Andaluz and get that reception in. Now at the 11-yard line, this is Denver trying to give a major haymaker to Jacksonville.
Nickel look out of Jacksonville to try and counter this 3 wide receiver set as Keel goes in motion here on 1st down. Struthers will look to the air as he dumps it off to O'Shaughnessy out of the backfield, who gets a block, and Andaluz pushes him out of bounds near the 5-yard line.
Yeah, good work from the defense to not give O'Shaughnessy a second look at shedding a tackle, just push him out of bounds. It may have temporarily stopped the clock a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's another play that Denver has to make to get to the end zone.
So they now come out with a 2 tight end look. Mosley all alone near side with plenty of space between him and the next closest defender, but it goes to Mills, and he breaks out of 1 tackle, but then is clattered from behind by Logan Gardner, and it brings up third down.
Yeah, a lot of people have loved Logan Gardner as a re-signing for Jacksonville, and that's what he brings to the table, is stuffing running backs when need be, and he's got that deceptive speed to get to the quarterback.
3rd and 3 from the 4. Offset eye behind Struthers. They go to Mills, who has plenty of space. Brilliant blocking, and he waltzes in for a Denver touchdown.
I think R.E. Mills could have climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and had less space than what Jacksonville gave him. That's amazing work from all the blockers for Denver to break open that space for Mills just to ease his way in. Like, look at that. Nobody within smelling distance of Mills to get to the end zone. Denver is rolling in the Mile High City.
Let's take a look at this. R.E. Mills picked up career touchdown 10 and 11. Why that's important? Just last season, he had 5 throughout the entirety of the season, doubling his career total. And now tonight, he's well on his way to maybe making 5 touchdowns in the first 3 games of Denver's season. 12 plays, 74 yards, 4.5 minutes taken off the clock. 2 long drives to begin the game, 1 for Jacksonville, 1 for Denver, and the lead is stretched out to 16 points for Denver.
Man, it's been great for Denver at home because it's just very much comfortable in their own environment, and it's paid dividends. 26 points before the end of the third quarter. I wouldn't have thought that.
Kickoff is on its way. Here comes Joe Beasley on the return, trying to stretch it out to the right-hand side. Nearly got out there. Just a little bit delayed blocking. If he could have gotten one more, we might have been talking a little bit more. Jeff Robinson, the backup tight end, trying to provide the edge, couldn't. And now they'll start this drive on the 34.
You know, we did talk about earlier how Gabriel Manning had his kickoff return touchdown to have Tulsa rolling against Carolina in our other game tonight. And it would have been interesting to have a kickoff return touchdown over here as well.
Now it's still only down by 2 scores, but you would need 2 two-point conversions to retie up this game. We'll see what Jacksonville come up with. Vicarian right side. Oh my goodness! See you later, Luis Quintana. Quintana's had a great game. Hit, laying the lumber. This time he gets a little bit of whiplash as he has to lay down on the turf for a few seconds.
You know, seeing these runs from Shepard Vicarian, it almost kind of reminds me of a young Jet Zero from Queen City as he was bowling over opponents with ease, just like Vicarian's doing right now.
Handoff here for Sanders. He hurdles and runs forward. Sean Sanders cross midfield, down the sideline, inside the 30-yard line, and finally wrapped up by Nick Kindler and company. What a spark from Sean Sanders.
Yeah, and you're not kidding. He's been struggling all game so far. Just 5 carries for 12 yards before this big run from him. And we talk about how smaller running backs are coming into this game, like him and Pseudo Nakai. And sometimes it could be, you know, that Mighty Mouse effect that comes in for these teams. And that's the run that Sanders and Jacksonville both needed to carry forward.
And that play does not start without the pancake block by Carly Forge as well, as Vicarian gets the call, and the run game is starting to pick up some steam. 3 yards the gain for Vicarian, and this one's getting interesting late. Fourth quarter on its way, 26-10 here at Richard L. Snowden Stadium. And Denver will have to defend their own end zone and their own red zone as well. 26-10. Does Jacksonville come back in this game? We'll find out in the fourth quarter. This is the opening weekend of Season 22 in the SFL. Over to Curtis, who are going to tell you what our rights are.
The Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
Welcome back to Richard L. Snowden Stadium. I'm Tyler Falk alongside Brett Solberg. I have a feeling these last 10 minutes of regulation are going to offer one wild ride. Handoff here for Vicarian, who picks up the first down before Nick Kindler brings him down.
Yeah, and the momentum's starting to shift a little bit to Jacksonville's side. It's just something that they need at this point as they're inching closer and closer inside the red zone. They need to find some type of spark to get 6 points on the board.
We'll have an offset eye behind Bruin. They're on 1st and 10 from just inside the 16-yard line. Handoff Sanders, and he can't break off this one as Jeff Milanishin, who has been a lightning rod on this defense, had the interception in the first quarter, comes up with a tackle near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and it's just a net zero play. Just run things back on both sides. Jacksonville needs to switch things up.
Leading tackler in the ball game for Denver tonight. As Jacksonville will send Ellington in motion near side. Bruin gonna look to throw on a short drop. Pass to back out of the pocket. Looks underneath and hits the back calf of Lucas DeVore. And it's 3rd down, Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Bruin was trying to aim at with his throw. It looked in the general area of Shepherd Vicarian, but it was also a little bit too far out for him as well. I think he was just trying to get that ball out and get away from the pressure.
Maybe not let up an intentional grounding call, just throw it in the area of a receiver. 3rd and 10 with 5 wide receivers. Only 16 yards to hit the end zone. Bruin gonna look to throw. He's looking middle. It is tipped by Milanishin and incomplete. A stellar play from Jeff, and it forces a 4th down.
And Milanishin has been such an X factor for this Denver defense. Now going back to the side of Jacksonville, they're deciding to go with a field goal here. If I were Frank Gooden, I would have went for it on 4th down, considering that you're on Denver's 11-yard line, but they want to get the points guaranteed.
This will keep it a 2-score lead for Denver, but at the same time, it means that 2 touchdowns will give them the lead, and they don't have to go for 2. It is 26-13. Denver still up on top. APM Music is unrivaled music to bring your stories to life, inspiring every production with the world's most robust and constantly refreshed music collection, state-of-the-art technology, and world-class customer service. APM Music is the official soundtrack of the Simulation Football League. To explore their library and to find the perfect tracks for your projects, visit apmmusic.com. Here comes the return for Jacksonville. Dylan Lewis looking right side, cuts it back near side, and is brought down from behind by King Alexander, the rookie out of Philadelphia. As we go back to SFL headquarters, is Tulsa still pouring it on against Carolina, Cam?
Yeah, not Tulsa, but Gabriel Manning is. Gabriel Manning just got his 5th touchdown of the night. Tulsa has scored 35 unanswered points, and Gabriel Manning has outscored 18 SFL teams this week. 52-17, all Tulsa's that game is winding down. Back to you.
What a statement from Gabriel Manning and the Desperados. Thank you, Cam. Just barely making the playoffs by winning the Central Division outright, losing to the eventual Central Division champion Minnesota Legend on the final day as they hand off here in Denver. Shaughnessy threw one, still going, and it finally wrapped up by Justin Andaluz after going across midfield.
Man, and that's that speed that I've been worried about all game from O'Shaughnessy. We haven't seen too much of it because Ari Mills has been dominating the run game, but now O'Shaughnessy gets his own look and makes the most out of a situation. A huge run, flipping the field immediately for Denver in a game where Jacksonville needs to stop Denver as quickly as possible.
Just a quick look at the game stats, courtesy of SFL statisticians Frank Gooden and Adam Nold. A little over 300 passing yards or total yards for Denver, and it's been a pretty even split between running and passing. Quick hitter over the middle is caught by Logan Keel. A flag flies in near the catch, and it's not going to be pass interference. It'll be a face mask on the defense. Unfortunately, Bernard Gooden is going to tack on 15 more yards to the end of the play, and Denver set up very well.
It's interesting that they called it an intentional face mask, and now it pushes Denver even more forward. Just things coming from bad to worse for Jacksonville's defense.
Jacksonville need a stop in the worst way. Do not want to give up any sort of points. O'Shaughnessy with a call, but tackling like that will certainly see Denver march closer and closer to the end zone. And O'Shaughnessy, you have to get to him, and you have to wrap up the first part of attack. Otherwise, he's going to keep doing runs like that.
Exactly. O'Shaughnessy is a legitimate threat out there to get big gains whenever possible. So don't give him the opportunity to do so, especially in a tight game like this.
And just look at the yards after contact. 46 of his 70 total yards have come via that way as Ari Mills gets the call, and he might have to get a wake-up call. John Martin with the hit.
Yeah, and that one was a warning shot from John Martin saying, hey, you have to remember I was leading the league in TFLs last season. I ain't going to be forgotten in this game.
And so now, here comes Denver, 3rd and 1. Jacksonville's defense overloading the near side of the formation. It'll be a run up the middle for Mills, who gets stuck behind the line and taken down by John Patrick Levine. And that will be 4th down. Out comes the kicking unit for Denver.
Yeah, a little bit of a closer field goal for Rackers at 34 yards. Back to make this a 16-point game, but it's a good stop from Jacksonville to prevent 6.
This will be with the wind. Snap spot kick is up, and it sails through the uprights. It's back out to a 16-point lead for Denver, 29-13. As we nearing the end of regulation, Jacksonville now have their work cut out for them, and they can no longer accept field goals, partner.
No, they've got to be touchdowns, 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 and they've heavily favored Connor Weston in this game. I'd like to think Denver will double cover him now, so one of the other receivers has got to be open. So we got to take a look at what the Denver's defense brings out.
Kickoff is on its way. They could use a good return as well. Here comes the Kings, and Kingston Ellington gets it all the way up to near the 30-yard line. They'll mark him short at the 29. Here comes the Kings offense. It's break or bust at the moment.
Yeah, they can't be thinking bust. They've got to think of plays that are big money, that are going to get them down the field quick. 6 minutes to go. That'll dwindle very fast if they start to linger in certain parts of the field.
Break one open. Oh, Bruin.
Oh.
Jeff Melanician has been sniffing at that one all game long. It's an 8-yard sack.
What a way to ingratiate yourself to the Denver crowd by saying, hey, I'm going to have probably one of the performances of this game. Look at the stats. 9 tackles, 3 for loss, and a sack under his name. He has been all over the field in key plays to stop Jacksonville from getting forward, let alone scoring.
He's been a menace to Jacksonville's offense today, and Bruin now has to roll out of the pocket. He's being chased from behind and just wisely takes a nice little juke, but he pays for it again. Xavier Rowe again with the hit. Bruin's going to be pretty sore in the morning if he keeps taking hits like that.
Yeah, he's going to be turning into O.J. Blackenbruin at this point if he continues not sliding down and protecting himself.
Can't fault him for trying to make something happen as he's back to the air on 3rd and long. He loads it for Weston, who has got plenty of work to do, and he brings it all the way close to the line to gain. They'll mark him just short. What an individual effort from Weston, but he's going to have to try it again. He's going to have to try and make something happen. And this is going to be tight. Jacksonville, we're going to challenge the play, and so we will take a retroactive look at the play presented by Retroid. Get your SFL console at GoRetroid.com, our second one of the night.
Yeah, when I talked about the previous placement of the football in the first challenge, they saw that it was a little bit behind the line. And again, we look at where Connor Weston places the football as he goes down. That angle doesn't do well. This one will. Got to think of where the football's going to land as his first knee falls, and that still looks about a few inches short.
Here's the call from the ref. And while Denver's challenge stands, the Jacksonville challenge stands as well. And unfortunately, that's a vital asset loss. The 3rd timeout is gone. So only 2 remain for the Kings, and now they might have to go for it.
Yeah, and this might be a situation. They're still going to punt it nonetheless. but that's a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow. I wouldn't have done the challenge personally, seeing how that ball landed, but they're willing to take a risk to try to gain precious inches.
No Victor Ironleg here tonight, and so Lewis will get the return after the Price kick. And so Denver takes over with time on their side and all 3 timeouts. And we saw them early tonight already put up a 4.5-minute drive, and so they could very well milk the remaining of this clock with not too much effort.
Yeah, they got to be careful, this Jacksonville defense. They need to stop them on these, essentially these 3 downs.
Already had 2 drives over 4 minutes at least, and Mills goes backward. A solid stop from John Patrick Levine. He has been having a quiet but very explosive game for the Kings defense.
Yeah, and that's what Jacksonville needs to push that forward. They need guys like Levine. They need guys like John Martin to step up, those veteran presences to help out this defense.
No surprise here, trying to dwindle as much clock as possible. Heavy blitz coming. O'Shaughnessy gains the yard lost, and yet another one as Andalus comes flying in from the safety spot. It looked like Jacksonville was reading run. They saw the run. They got to the ball carrier. Brings up 3rd down.
Yeah, a big stop as well, because that still makes it a 3rd and long for Denver to try to convert. So they're going to be probably forced into a passing situation, which this formation looks like with 4 receivers.
3 to the right, 1 to the left. O'Shaughnessy alone in the backfield behind Struthers, who's under center. Dime look. They will still go with a run. O'Shaughnessy trying to spread everybody out, and Jacksonville's defense comes up in the clutch. Andalus again taking over for the injured young Vat, and he provides a solid stop, and it brings up 4th down.
Great work to not waver in a key 3rd down and recognize that it was a run play to O'Shaughnessy as well, to keep that with way past that 1st down marker. And now Denver forced to punt. Now it's time not to be pretty, Jacksonville. Sling that rock deep.
We'll see what happens, as we want to remind you that tomorrow night Cameron Irvine and Mike O'Neill are back with This Week in the SFL before the Fort Worth Toros battle the Alamo City Artillery to put a bow on week 1 of the SFL's 22nd season. Kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, with This Week in the SFL starting at 7:15 right here on SFL YouTube. As Laundry comes in, it's another face mask, and it's going to go against Jacksonville.
Only difference...
Denver, excuse me.
Yeah, only difference is that this is incidental, so they're only going to tack an extra 5 yards. It's not an intentional one, but it is going to help the starting field position for Jacksonville. At the 42, they only have 58 yards to get to the end zone. That means they can get a couple quick plays if they need to.
They need a quick strike. Ideally, they'd like to get a score before the 2-minute warning, which means these wide receivers, Haynes, Alexander, Beasley, Ellington, and of course Weston, are going to be heavily called upon to try and get points early. Bruin looking for a screen pass to Vakarian, and nothing doing. Vakarian was held up behind the line. No pass interference, and it's 2nd and 10.
Interesting approach from Jacksonville, trying to get a free 1st down, but obviously didn't work. Now they're going to have to reset things for 2nd down. Let's not be pretty here, Kings. Get yourself down the field. Look for Connor Weston. He's been your guy all game.
Meanwhile, it's gone final in Oklahoma. Tulsa smashed Carolina on opening night, 52-17. The final score, of course, the story of that game being Gabriel Manning. Pass over the near side, nearly taken away by Andre Tucker. And I'll bring up 3rd down.
Oh, man, and this is adding more pressure to Jacksonville and more pressure for O.J. Bruin to make some type of miracle work. But he's got to calm down, stay composed, look for his open guys. He's got 4 receivers on this set. Make sure that his line protects him.
3rd down. Bruin to throw. He's going to just dump it off to Vakarian, who shoulders a man, continues upfield, and he's going to get the 1st down. What a play from Shepard Vakarian.
Not only does he get the agility to turn turn the corner and stay on the side, stay outside the sidelines, but he manages to get the first down and get out of bounds to stop the clock. All that helps for Jacksonville.
He gained exactly 10 yards, just barely reached the football across the line to gain as he stepped out of bounds. And that will bring up a new set of downs with 4 wide receivers, under 3 minutes to go. Here from Richard L. Snowden. Bruin will look to throw. Looking middle, taken away! Stuart Gotts with the incredible interception, and the comeback hopes seem dashed here in Denver.
6'3", and he's got those deceptive hands. We know Stuart Gotts as a goal line stuffer, but he has been more than that for Denver in his debut game for the Nightwings, and it caps off with an interception to shift all the momentum back to Denver with 2:55 left.
And it's just been a phenomenal night for debutantes for Denver. Jeff Melanishin with a sack, an interception, leading in tackles, and now Stuart Gotts comes away with an interception coming over from Sioux Falls in the offseason. Denver's future looking mighty bright here to begin the season.
Yeah, we can forget about, excuse me, we can forget about any doubts that we had about Denver. They're going to maybe, and odds are looking at right now, starting things at 1-0, and that's going to be a huge momentum starter for this Nightwings franchise that's going to have a little bit of a tougher schedule moving forward, at least for the next 3 weeks.
And so it's 2nd and 5 now. Here for Denver. Jacksonville need a stop in the worst way to maybe even try and preserve an opportunity to try and get back in this game. Hand off right side. Ketchum out of a tackle, but he cannot get any further forward. He's brought down by Alex Mond.
But they'll take it because it's still going to shed clock, and it's going to get us to the 2-minute warning.
2 minutes to go in regulation. It's a 16-point lead for Denver. Can they hold on and drain the rest of this clock? You're watching the opening weekend of the SFL's 22nd season. Final 2 minutes. Here from Denver. 3rd down, Ari Mills gets the call. He's brought down by John Martin. Jacksonville called their 2nd timeout. They lost a timeout on the failed challenge a few minutes ago. They only have 1 remaining, but 1 might be the only one they need if they can get their offense going.
It's about clock management. That's the big key for Jacksonville, and it will and we have to determine where they're going to start as well.
And the punt is away from Gowen. Fair catch called for by Joe Beasley. And that is where Jacksonville will start this next drive, and a drive they need and different. They cannot afford a mistake. They've already had a safety. They've already had a couple interceptions. They have to find touchdowns on this drive or the game is over.
Pretty simple. I got 3 words for you, Jacksonville. Don't be pretty.
Be smart. Be conscientious. Be effective. 1st and 10. Bruin to throw. Looking near side. Copeland could not hang on to it. The footsteps coming from Andre Tucker maybe threw him off.
That one's tough for me to swallow because that was an attempt of a pretty play, essentially a tight end screen. Because you saw the other 2 receivers or the other 1 receiver and the blocker coming in. Now it's essentially an attempt at a screenplay.
So it's 2nd and 10 here for the Kings. Bruin back to throw again, looking left side, looking for Copeland again, and he can't bring it in. And again, Tucker there to stop him.
Man, those are key stops on a tight end as well when it feels like you're being mismatched due to size, but he is using all of his frame to stop Jim Copeland Jr. on those 2 targets.
And right now, it's just been speed on the defensive end of the football that's really thrown a wrench into Jacksonville's plans as Bruin back to throw on 3rd down. Pressure coming, gets rid of it, and nearly taken away. That would have sealed it. Look, Schreiner nearly had the pick, and now it's 4th down.
Yeah, and it maybe Bruin was bumped right as he threw the football, but still, dangerous pass coming from Bruin. He's got to keep it smart here. 4th and 10, ball game on the line.
Four-man rush. They just drop it off, and they're going to fumble the ball out of the back of a sideline. And it's just been a comedy of errors for Jacksonville tonight, and they will lose this football game.
Oh, and that is just a terrible way to go out on a backwards pass that doesn't. Oh boy, the booth is going to review it, but nonetheless, it's still going to go Denver's way. It's either going to be ruled a turnover on downs, regardless of what happens.
And so one final time, we'll take a retroactive look at the play presented by Retroid. And this one should be nearly cut and dry. I think it might be a forward pass partner. Didn't really get a good angle from that, and maybe the ref can provide some clarification. That's all he needed to see. Indeed, it is a forward pass, and so the line of scrimmage from the last play will stand, and that is where Denver will take over. And he might be shaking his head because they didn't get the challenge to go their way, but they still get the football.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Denver still has the ball. They can do whatever they like with it. If I'm Denver, I'm focusing on maybe just kneeling the ball or just handing this ball off to start the clock. But that is about it. You got one timeout left. That is very true.
Seems like Jacksonville might show a little bit of gamemanship here, or if they'll be humble and just accept their fate. Mills with the call, and Mills with a gain of 5. Jacksonville will call their 3rd and final timeout, and they'll game it up as much as possible. And Denver, regardless at this point, unless Jacksonville can pull a rabbit out of the hat or a miracle or something, Denver's going to win this football game.
Yeah, and this is the win they needed to start things off because, like I said, their next 3 weeks are going to be tough. At D.C., home against Louisiana, at Arizona. Those are 3 tough teams to go against.
First of a couple kneel downs, and there is one from Struthers. Meanwhile, for the Kings, they'll play in Charleston next week, and so they have to wait another week yet for a home game, and their home opener will be on January 27th when they take on the Indianapolis Ramblers before one of the earlier bye weeks in the SFL, or if you're looking at Minnesota, they're on a bye week this week. So let's talk about what went right, and mostly for Denver, partner, it was the run game. Ari Mills really lit up the field alongside Bailey O'Shaughnessy, and then all of a sudden, here comes that offense. The Mosley with incredible reception, Lewis with an incredible reception, but it just seemed everything to be working for Struthers, who finishes with an above 80% completion percentage.
Yeah, and he didn't have to do anything super spectacular. 15 of 18. He spread the wealth really, really good, and his run game helped him be a little bit more composed under center. So it's, again, another complete offensive output that we've seen tonight, this time coming from the Nightwings.
This to put the game no longer in doubt. Racker's 31 yards. It's up and it's wide. It is wide left. 16 seconds. Anything can happen.
Boy, if we see ourselves a Connor Weston 80-yarder, I'm gonna think to myself, well, this could be a game. But Jacksonville's played it too pretty in this scenario already that we've seen from him. So I don't know if it's going to change here on this drive.
They're going to have to launch this one. They spread the field with 4 wide receivers. They cannot afford a screen play. They cannot afford an out route. They have to run deep down the field right away, and it will be a long. It is picked off. That'll do it. Luke Schreiner didn't get one earlier. He gets this one. That's the final dagger.
Yeah, the dagger and then some. It's like putting a knife onto an already deceased vampire at this point. And I feel bad for Jacksonville because they've had moments where they've looked good, especially in the form of Bruin to Weston, but it just hasn't worked out for them offensively, and it's going to result in them having to look things back and say, what are we going to do next week against Charleston, at Charleston, who looked really good in their first week performance.
And this will be the final kneel down for Denver, and there it is. A very good performance on all facets of the game today. Offense, defense played well. The new signings for Denver were the difference, and they will end this game with a win in the first of the season, 29-13 your final score.
And an overall, like I said, overall offensive complete performance from them, led by the way of R.E. Mills, someone we didn't think was going to lead the way in terms of the Denver offense. 22 carries, 80 yards we have officially on him, and 2 touchdowns on the ground that basically separated the two teams just by himself. And again, you look at that time possession, completely dominated by Denver. They did such a great job in the second and third quarter in securing the football on their side of the field and just taking care of business. Now they're going to move forward. They're going to head to DC, who are reeling off a convincing win over Louisiana, and that's going to be a tough game for them, but I think they're going to be more prepared than they thought they were before.
A solid game for Denver sees them take home the victory in their home opener. A special thanks to Adam Knoll and Frank Gooden in stats, and of course Cameron Irvine back at SFL headquarters. A reminder, tomorrow, the Monday Night Spectacular, a new analyst joins Cameron in the booth for the Fort Worth and Alamo City game. It's Charles Doherty and Cameron Irvine on the call tomorrow. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for joining us. For my partner, Brett Solberg, I'm Tyler Folk. We'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Bye now.